Here's a simple change to make the Mutagen Formula scenario more balanced. Did you know that in this Green Goblin scenario, advancing to the second main scheme can actually make the game easier instead of harder? That's a problem, and today we're fixing it. Green Goblin is supposed to be relentless, but there's a little flaw that makes multiplayer way too forgiving. I've redesigned main scheme 2 to bring back the tension in multiplayer, or make it even more challenging in solo. My name is Arthur, and on this channel I talk game design, game tinkering, and fan-made content for Marvel Champions and the games. Today we're diving into the Mutagen Formula scenario, featuring Green Goblin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated. So, first, a quick reminder of the scenario. Green Goblin is a relentless villain, hitting hard and swarming players with goblin minions. If you don't take them down quickly, they can easily overwhelm you. He's got a few things going on. First, each player starts the game with a minion engaged with them. Then, Green Goblin adds one threat to the main scheme every time he damages a hero. When you reveal stage 2 and 3 of the villain, each player gets an additional encounter card, making the expert mode especially brutal. And finally, the first main scheme has a rather low threshold of 7 per player, meaning it can escalate very fast if you're not careful. Okay, let's take a closer look at main scheme 2 and what's going on with it. Main scheme 2 has a 11 per player threat threshold. It starts with 4 threat per player, and it adds X threat per round, where X is equal to the number of goblin enemies in play, including Green Goblin, so it's a minimum of 1. Also, this is the last scheme. If it is completed, the players lose the game. So what's the issue? Advancing to stage 2 is not really a penalty, actually. In fact, it's often a good thing. It can very well be a strategy to lose the first main scheme on purpose once you've defeated the minion engaged with you, and if you're able to thwart it down to 0 pretty fast, because it starts with 4 per players instead of 0, but then you get a lower threat threshold from 7 per player to 11 per player, making it much safer. Again, if you get rid of the 4 initial threats per player. The threat added each turn is based on the number of goblins in play, but if you've defeated all minions, this means only 1 threat per turn from Green Goblin himself. In solo, this doesn't change much, and it even acts as a penalty if a minion is left in play from one turn to another. In 2-player games, it becomes slightly easier since you have more time to handle the minions, and in 3 or 4 players, managing minions can be trivial sometimes, and controlling the threat becomes way too easy because you will only add 1 threat per turn most of the time. Ultimately, I find that the difficulty doesn't scale well with the number of players in this scenario. The challenge is present in solo but diminishes as the player count increases. Green Goblin is still a challenge, don't get me wrong, and I do like the scenario, I just always find this part weird and counterintuitive. To fix this issue, I've designed and playtested quite a lot in the last few years a new version of main scheme 2. Up until now it was just a sticky note behind Mutagen Clouds, but for the video I've actually redesigned the back of the card. As you can see, the front is the same, but the back is a bit different. It reads, still 11 threats per player, 4 starting threat per player, plus X threats per turn. X is still equal to the number of goblin enemies, including Green Goblin, in play, but now we have a forced interrupt. When the villain phase begins, discard cards from the encounter deck until you discard a goblin minion, put that minion into play, engage with the first player. This variant is recommended for 3 to 4 players and can be a challenge for 1 to 2 players. If this game is completed, the players lose the game. So, why is it better? Well, it's a very simple fix, only the back is different. The minion enters play at the start of the phase, meaning at least 2 threats is added per turn, along with a new minion that must be dealt with. If minions are ignored, it creates a snowball effect, which is the scenario's intended challenge, and this extra minion makes it easier to create that snowball effect if not careful. The new minion will attack or scheme against the first player during phase 2 of this villain phase, increasing the danger, but first player will have an entire turn to anticipate the attack or scheming activation, so it doesn't actually create frustration in game. In 3 or 4 players count, this adds tension without being oppressive. For 2 players, it provides a bigger challenge, making threat management and minion control essential. Mind that some decks just can't deal with that extra pressure, so be careful. And finally, in solo, it's an extreme challenge, adding 1 minion per turn and doubling the minimum threat gain. It's still doable with strong decks, but it makes ignoring the first main scheme a true risk. More than anything though, this acts as a psychological deterrent, a sort of boogeyman mechanic designed to make players second-guess their strategies to always reach main scheme 2. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Mutagen Formula in my custom redesign. I've made the new card available in PNG format in the description below. below, you'll find both the front and back so you can print them as a complete physical card if you want. Tell me what you think of this redesign in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss future Marvel Champions content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.